Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Sunday gathering. It's the best place to be at this time, wherever you are in the globe. Where I am, it's 2 p.m. on May the 15th. I know we've got plenty of friends around the world. It's May the 16th for our friends down under. I'm Sandra Champlain, and for over 2 years, we've had this Sunday gathering going. And be honest, press your raise hand button if you are doing a little singing or dancing in your seat. Just curious. We got lots of hands going up. Oh, well, we love coming to you every week, and you just never know what we have in store for you. So I'd like to pass it over to Phil, who has choreographed our Sunday gathering, and he can explain more. Over to you, Phil.
Thank you, Sandra, and what wonderful music to begin with. It just gets you going in your seat, and seeing that gentleman, the age and what he's lived through, and that's the theme, the living years. And it makes you wonder at times, that gentleman you saw dancing, what he's actually lived through and what he's come out the other side of, and he's still dancing. And that's the theme, really, that whatever we go through, we're going to come out the other side better people, better understanding than life. But it's more than a feeling. It's better than the feeling of dancing. It's the Sunday gathering. And it's what you bring to us as well. It's just absolutely lovely energy, and just it's the highlight of our week, and we love being here with you. And as usual, we have a cast of members. We have the lovely Sandra Champlain, who is the hostess with the mostess, and she'll be orchestrating little few funny things, I suspect, throughout the gathering, maybe. We also have Darren here doing the opening prayer and closing prayer, as well as the healing and the reading as well. And always, we know he will inspire you. And we have the wonderful young Miss Kerry McLeod doing the demonstration as well. And little old me, I'll be doing the words of the week. But thank you for joining us. We appreciate all the messages you send, and those donations you send in for behind the scenes. We're so grateful. You don't have to send them in, but we're so grateful that you do, which is much appreciated. And without further ado, I want you to sit back in the chair. I want you to enjoy the music. I want you to really think of those years you've lived through and how you're better people for it. And in the meantime, I'm going to hand you over to Mr. Darren Wynn to open us in prayer.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction and coming up with a wonderful theme, Phil. I'm sure it'd be amazing, and I'm certainly looking forward to it. So massive welcome to all of you. So without further ado, if you'd all like to just close your eyes and join me for the opening prayer. We unite here together today for our Sunday gathering under that banner of We Don't Die. We unite here as friends, brothers and sisters from different countries across our globe. We come together here today speaking different languages and different dialects. We come together here today from different backgrounds, different understandings and different teachings. But we unite here together in harmony, we unite here together in peace, but most of all, we unite here together in pure love. As we enter into this Sunday gathering, we do so with one goal, to unite our world with that of the world we call unseen. And as we enter into this experience, we do so with no demands, no expectations, but we enter into it with an open heart and an open mind, knowing anything and everything is possible, for the joy and jubilation of uniting the two worlds together as one, and feeling that love, that healing balm, and hearing those words of truth, which in turn will bring us all those moments of joy, comfort, and upliftment. Each and every one of us here today finds it an absolute joy and privilege to work for and on behalf of that world we call unseen. And we do this with utmost integrity and honesty. And we do this to the best of our capabilities. And we hope in some way we can make you proud. As we enter into this Sunday gathering of the living years, we do so with love within our heart and gratitude for the air that we breathe each day around us, and for the beauty within our world that we get to see day in and day out. And as we proceed through this Sunday gathering, we ask that a healing balm be built and sent to all four corners of our world to help bring healing and comfort to all those hearts and minds that are in need at this time. So without further ado, my friends, we welcome you here again for our Sunday gathering. Amen. Okay, I'm now going to read to you my reading. This reading is a bit unusual for me to pick anyway, but we're all unusual. Nothing new there. But this comes from a CEO of a company. And I trawled through trying to find an appropriate reading. And this one kind of really hit a chord with me and actually got me thinking. So I thought I'd share it with you guys as well and hope it does the same for you. One of the habits that I'm working to establish is a regular visit to the cemetery. No, I'm not some freak looking for ghosts or anything morbid. I visit the grave of the founder of the organisation I work for. I have learned to admire what this man stood for, his principles, and his dedication. These things have been lost over the years, and as a CEO, I'm striving to bring those principles into the modern era. So 2 seconds, technical hitch. Sorry guys, my computer decided to play by. Okay. Somehow, sitting at his grave, I'm reminded that my time to make these changes is limited. All of us have a certain number of days. We all have a set number of breaths to take and a certain amount of sunrises to see. I don't know where my end will be, but I want to live every day, each moment, with the awareness that my time is not unlimited. Unfortunately for too many people, they live their lives in the same furrow. They wake up, eat a hurried breakfast, rush to work at a job they hate, eat lunch at the desk or at the crane, go home for dinner, watch the latest television show, and then go to bed. Each day has little variation and little hope for change. Yes, there are moments of excitement when birthdays come around or a child graduates, but these are so sporadic that they barely register a pulse on the boredom scale. If this is your life, are you really alive? Our days are numbered. As we look to the future, it is time we quit saying things like the following: when I get married, when the kids grow up, when the kids move out, when I retire, when I win the lottery, then I will. Everybody passes from this world, so why not live life to the fullest? Here is how you can. Instead, use death as a motivator to start to live your life, starting this very week. It starts with training your mind to know that your days are limited. I don't want to be a bummer, but there is a lot that can happen in a day. You could take a nap and never wake up. You could get shot in the crossfire between police and gang members. Nobody plans on passing away today. I have a full schedule of meetings to attend, fun to have, dreams to accomplish. I don't have time to die, but it could happen. I train myself to be aware of that knowledge every day so that I do not feel tempted to put off those things that are important. Because today might be my final day. I tell my wife that I love her every morning because I might be on the pointy end of a bullet. I make sure that I keep a very short list of people that I need to apologize to, because today might very well be at the back end of the dash on my tombstone. I make sure to live fully in integrity and honor. I may not have tomorrow to make up for the things that I failed to get done today. Time is precious. That's why I make the most of every moment. One of the lessons that I've repeatedly taught my children is that if I would lose $20, I could earn it back with little effort. However, if I wasted 20 minutes on anything, it is gone. I can never earn it back. I must make the most of every moment. This enables me to live fully in my relationships, my work, and my joys. The predictable life is calling to that part of you that likes safety. It takes effort to break out of that sleep-work cycle. Live life to the fullest by coming up with adventures. These can be small ones like weekend hikes or trips to the beach, or it could be things like worldwide excursions if it fits your budget. But really, what am I talking about here are full-blown adventures. Look at a map and pick a city to visit. I once drove a few hours to a city called Oblong. I was curious about the shape of the town. And by the way, it had no specific geometric shape that I could identify, but it was definitely not oblong. The city, by the way, was not the adventure. The adventure came in the journey. We saw hay bales stacked and painted in assorted creatures. Lunch was at a diner where the waitress called everyone honey, darling, or pudding. Stories were told that may or may not have been true. Friendships were enhanced. In boring seasons of life, we recount the adventures where we got lost, the rains upon our camping trips, and other mishaps. These typically come with great laughter and restored youth. Live life to the fullest so that the future feels possible. Maybe you're currently living your dream. If so, that's awesome. Let us dream of a complete life. Fully living from our entire being must be done deliberately. Our dreams will not come about by accident. Capture what a total and complete life would look like. What is the best possible future that is waiting for you? Who are you living with, playing with, and working with? Where are you living? What skills do you want to be an expert on in the future? How can you improve yourself? Create this ultimate dream for your life. Now develop a plan to get there. No excuses. What will it take to be a college professor, a political giant, or the best sports announcer ever? How will you find the love of your life or restore a strained relationship with your sibling? Create a plan for getting to your ultimate dream. What are you going to do this week so that dream has a possibility of coming true? Every week should have something that you can do. Maybe read a book, write a speech, send that email, or make that phone call. Dreams can come true through little steps towards it. No excuses. Do something to live life to the fullest. Life is short. It seems all of the ancient writings bemoan that fact. Even those who have 100 years under their belt often feel like they could have done more, been more, and lived more. Today, what are you going to do? I call for you to live life to the fullest, completely from your heart and your mind. So thank you for listening to me. And I'm now going to take us into our healing session. And we're going to listen to a lovely song called Bless the Broken Roads. And I'm sure you can all agree throughout our lives, we all go along those broken roads. We all have our own troubles. We all have our own bumps in the road, whatever it may be. But we need to always think of others. There's others that go along a broken road as well, but their road can be a lot more broken than ours. And that's where we need to play our part. So what we're going to do now, we're going to sit. You can either close your eyes and send out that healing thought, or you can sit and watch the music video. But we're going to try and think of someone that's less fortunate than us, but maybe have a road that's more broken than ours. And we're going to send them that love and that healing.
Well, I just heard something in that song I hadn't heard before. God bless the broken road that led me straight to you. I think about that in regards to my life. Just 12 years ago, things weren't so great around the passing of my dad, and I couldn't have been in a deeper and darker place. But because of that, God bless my broken road, because it led me straight to you guys and to Carrie and Phil and Darren and Scott, and a whole new view of life, a whole new reality. So one where I can share the journey. So thanks for picking that song, Phil. This past week on Wednesday, I was going about my business, doing the work I had to do, and something just caught my memory about the date, May 11th. I'm thinking, May 11th, what's May 11th? And I put it to a side and then kept busy. And then it came in again, May 11th. Something happened on May 11th. Well, I sat with it for a little while and I had that aha moment. May 11th, 2010 was the day my dad passed. Now on May 11th, for all these years since he did pass, I felt myself gripped by the memory. the first many years, it was gripped with grief. It just took one memory and I was flooded with tears and emotions and pain. And then eventually, 4 or 5 years into it, it let up. The memory was still there. There was still pain. There was still thinking about all the things that went wrong and miscommunications with my siblings. But I couldn't help every May 11th thinking about what had happened. And for me to have that aha moment that May 11th was the day my dad passed, and that it didn't have any kind of hold on me other than gratitude for the broken road that I've been on that led me straight to being here. It was a victory for me, and not one that I was looking for, but I didn't realize that all this time looking for evidence of the afterlife, all this time meeting people and sharing my journey and giving people everything I know about grief and evidence of the afterlife. And then little did I know, a couple of years ago, we started doing everything online, that I'd be witnessing miracles every week, whether it's our Sunday gathering and the reunions that happen. I mean, you guys feel it too, when one of our mediums brings through a loved one and you can just feel their presence and you can feel that reunion. On Fridays, I get to be with Scott Milligan, and he does a demonstration of trance mediumship. It's the most extraordinary conversations I can ever believe. And I have to pinch myself every week on Fridays, on Sundays, during our classes and things, that this is the world I live in. It's very real. There's stuff to do as a human. I don't have an easy journey. There's plenty of things I'd like to change about myself and the world. But all it takes is the memory of what I'm really up to. And I have been blessed to have 2 podcasts now. We Don't Die Radio has now, I think, 378 or 77 episodes. And then my more recent show on iHeartRadio is called Shades of the Afterlife, and there's 82 episodes there. And every week I have to upload a new podcast for them. That's the agreement that's in the contract. And, sometimes I wait till the last moment to get it done, but I get them done. And you can't wait for creativity to come. It doesn't. You have to get into action first, and then inspiration comes. Well, my last episode was talking about doctors and near-death experiences and some of the latest research on near-death experiences. And for us, we know that the afterlife is real. And for me, I don't know if I've talked to 60, 80 or more people that have actually had near-death experiences. And there's no doubt that our consciousness is so much more than just being housed in this body. But a group of scientists have come together, and on, I think it was April 22nd, they published a paper that near-death experiences can no longer be explained as hallucinations. Now, lots of people, even ignorant me back in the day, thought that near-death experiences happen just a normal part of the brain shutting down, seeing a bright light, et cetera, and so forth. But it's lovely that science has said not the case. Now, they haven't explained what it is, but they said what it isn't. It's not a hallucination. There's no explanation for our consciousness being able to leave the body, witness things that are happening on Earth, see people that no longer walk this earth, have this incredible life review. They're so specific. It can't be a hallucination. It can't be caused by drugs in the system. And I just thought, woohoo, it's great news. So where I want to go with that is on the final segment of that episode 82, I had found a doctor, a urologist, who was speaking about his near-death experience. Now, he's not somebody who's open about it. He hasn't written a book. He says nothing grandiose happened, but he said there was a moment that he had a cardiac arrest while he was playing basketball with some friends, and he felt his consciousness leave his body just for a split second. That's all it took. Now he says, I didn't see a white light. I wasn't looking for one. There was no tunnel. I didn't see loved ones, none of that. But he said, I seem to come back with the common things that happen with near-death experience survivors. And he said, I look at my life so differently now. He said, he was on all these different boards being a doctor, and everybody needed him for something. I think he was on 11 different boards. And he says, I gave them all up. He says, and within a matter of 10 days, I was replaced on every single one. He says, it wasn't my passion. He said, but I've always lived my life like having to be a hero, having to rescue, having to be the be all and the end all, like I knew everything, And I think a lot of us are like that. Our ego is involved and, got to do it. And then when people ask us questions, how easy is it to automatically give a yes? Well, he says, I don't say yes anymore unless it's something that's really aligned with who I am and what's in my heart. He said, I lived my life that I was always attached to technology. So he says, even when I was driving, he said, I was busy accepting calls from doctors and people that needed me for this or that. And he says, I don't do that anymore. He says, but what I do is I call my family and I hope I get their voicemail, because he says, I just leave messages of how much I love them. He says, family is everything to me and friends. And what I got out of doing that episode and sharing it was, how much are we living for other people? How much are we living for what we think we should be doing? And how much are we there for ourselves? And so I went to bed that night after uploading those 4 segments, and I wanted to create my own life review. So I imagined very peacefully in my sleep that I pass into the world unseen. And I opened my eyes, and there was my dad and my grandmother and my kitty Millie and her son Ozzy and people that have gone before. And I felt that reunion and I felt that love. And then I felt the presence of just a person that was all white, who was that my version of the divine. And it was a friend who said, come on, Sandra, we're gonna just take a little life review. And from all the people that I've interviewed have had life reviews, there's nobody judging you. You're just looking at your own life. And I took a little trip down memory lane. And yeah, I saw some things that could have been done differently. There's a lot of amends I've already made, because you know what, I don't really want to have a near-death experience that I'm seeing all these things I did wrong. I thought, oh, I can clear some of this while I'm alive. And I do try to live my life with integrity. I do. But the one thing I noticed is all the times that I haven't been there for myself. And in my life review for me, I said, gee, Sandra, you're really hard on yourself. You would never be this hard on another human being. You really aren't there for yourself. You love a lot of people, yes, you do, but you didn't spend this life loving yourself just the way you are. You didn't spend a life looking at the difference that you've made. You spent a life looking at all the things you didn't do. So in my life review, I realized I'm very hard on myself. Yes, I am. And I have a funny feeling you may be hard on yourself too. So coming back from my life review, my man-made life review, I said, I'm going to learn from what this doctor said and pay attention to what's most important. And for me, I feel really blessed that we are doing the Sunday gathering and so many things that we do online. That's important. Just behind me, I've got a little garden filled with critters, the turkeys, the hummingbirds, and more. And it may sound silly, but being able to nurture these little critters and attend to them brings me so much joy. Being out in nature with the sun shining on me and seeing the little buds starting to form on the flowers or the trees, that brings me joy. Being with my mom, we never know how much time we have with the people that we love, and being present and just listening. And we went to a new restaurant yesterday, trying new things. It's like, you know what, this is important. Having meaningful conversations and sometimes just listening. And love, that's important. So I usually get a ton of emails. I do, and I try to answer them all. But what I've noticed is after my life review, I've got to say no to things because they're not in my heart. I saw a really nice video this week of a good way to empower yourself, and think of the person that you really want to be in life and come up with 3 words to describe that person. And it can be the person you already are or the person you want to be. And your 3 words can change. But if you have 3 words and anytime you need them, you keep them close by and you just remember who you are. And so my 3 words for this week are grateful, unstoppable, and happy. Now, you may see me as that kind of person, but that's usually when I'm on camera. I can be that kind of person. You don't see me the other, hours of the week. Gratitude is something that can shift us in a heartbeat to being in that place of being happy, being present. Well, first of all, the ego has got no interest in this conversation. The ego wants to think about what's left undone, what you did wrong, stewing about with all the guilt and everything. So it really takes something to start thinking about gratitude. But when you start thinking about what you're grateful for, like the little things make you happy. They do. And even if you don't feel happy, we don't have to have something happen to make us happy. We can create it. We absolutely can create it. So on my radar screen is just being happy, smile on my face, that all is well attitude, and unstoppable. I don't know who created that word, but I love it. More than powerful. It's like, I am not stopping. If you heard at the beginning of our Sunday gathering before we started, I was telling the gang that I've been washing the windows. My mom had hired a window washer who postponed, and she said, oh, this is not going to work. And I thought, really, how hard could it be to clean these windows? And they're the ones that fold in. So I couldn't figure it out based on instructions. So I found a couple YouTube videos and I figured it out, unstoppable. Sandra has conquered the windows. Now I got 3 done. I've got many more to do, but I said, Mom, call that lady. We don't need her. Unstoppable. I had some chip paint in my bathroom. I'm up there repairing it. Unstoppable. I remember Carrie talking in one of the past Sunday gatherings, is doing one hard thing each day. An unstoppable person does that because once you tackle it, gosh, you feel that sense of accomplishment and you can do absolutely anything. So I challenge you, if you're interested, come up with your own 3 words, either that they describe you now or the person that you want to become, because all it takes is reading them and it can trigger you to be that person. I ask that we aren't so hard on ourselves. Those words that we tell ourselves that we would never tell somebody else, that's just the ego too. You, my friend, my friends, are a divine, magnificent being. You're filled with so much love. You've worked very hard to be at this point. If you were to take some paper and write down all your accomplishments, I'm sure it would fill a ton of them. And all the times you've made a difference, huge. So your mind might want to go down that guilt or being hard on yourself, but throw in a little forgiveness, will you? You did the best you could at whatever time in your life, and it's in the past. All we can do is go forward. Don't be so hard on yourself. There's a trick if you're getting a little down. There's a couple of them, actually. I had talked about gratitude. Albert Einstein, we all know him, genius. Well, he made a practice of saying thank you, something like over 100 times a day. He just naturally did it. And the more gratitude he felt, the more thanks he felt. He says, the more ideas I got. So how about that? Also being of service. Where is it that you can make a difference with another person? Just genuinely, out of love, do that. Helping somebody, who knows what, maybe clean. That's what I'm up to this week. But pay attention to that. The last thing I want to share with you is, well, two things. One, this is my dad, and this is my grandmother. Is John, she's Betsy. My grandmother had my dad on her 18th birthday. Could you imagine that? August 28th, they share the same birthday. And I have kept this card in my room next to that photo because, oh, I'm going to cry. It's the last birthday card I got from my dad before he passed. And what it says goes perfectly with this beautiful theme that Phil picked for us today. And it says, How to Make a Beautiful Life, Reflections for a Daughter on Her Birthday. I'm trying to hold back the tears just so I can read this, but we all have dads, so we know how this feels. Love yourself. Make peace with who you are and where you are at this moment in time. Listen to your heart. If you can't hear what it's saying in this noisy world, make time for yourself. Enjoy your own company. Let your mind wander among the stars. Try. Take chances. Make mistakes. Life can be messy and confusing at times, but it's also full of surprises. The next rock in your path might be a stepping stone. Be happy. When you don't have what you want what you have. Make do. That's a well-kept secret of contentment. There aren't any shortcuts to tomorrow. You have to make your own way. To know where you're going is only a part of it. You need to know where you've been to. And if you ever get lost, don't worry. The people who love you will find you. Count on it. Life isn't days and years. It's what you do with your time and with all the goodness and grace that's inside you. Make a beautiful life, the kind of life you deserve. And then Dad writes, I love you so dearly. Words cannot express my love for you. Love, Pop. I'll show you my dad's writing. I don't know if you can see it. So, my friends, I think I'm going to leave you with the words from the card from my father. And all I can say is don't be hard on yourself. Learn like from that doctor's near-death experience, or have your own when you go to bed tonight, or even after the Sunday gathering. But look at it not from all the big things that you haven't done or that you should have done, but look at it from being there for you. All right. I love you. And I thank you for listening. So now I'm going to change my hat to hostess with the mostess. and we're going to have our demonstration of mediumship. Our beautiful Carrie McLeod is our medium for today. And I just want to explain how this works. We have returning friends in our community, and I know we have some people here for the very first time. So Carrie is a very well-trained medium. She's given her life, really, so that the people in the spirit world can have their voices heard again. And she will be contacted from by a spirit person who's very much alive, and it'll be somebody in our community knows. Could be a loved one, could be a friend, could be somebody a little bit distant. But we ask that you listen very closely, because she'll give a few initial statements about the person that has contacted her. If you can understand all of those statements, and I said all of those statements, as somebody that you know who no longer walks this earth, we want you to press your raise hand button. Now, please feel free to press your raise hand button now if you want to find it and see how it works. And that's kind of audience participation, to press. And then you can press it again. Let's say lower hand. Very good. You guys are so good. Sometimes it takes a few minutes. Sometimes there's 2 or more people that can take all the information. So Carrie will do her work until we can distinguish one person. And at that time, I'm going to ask that one person to press your unmute button. Now, you can't see that just yet. You can't, but I have to press something on my side so you can. We don't need to see your video on, just your voice is all that we need. And Carrie will be working as the medium for your loved one, and she'll deliver different bits of information or evidence about them. And we only want you to say one of 3 things. Yes, like you understand it. No, or I don't know. Now, if something makes sense, give her a bold no and let her distinguish what it is the spirit person's trying to say. And that's how that goes. Now, we always have a couple hundred people in our Sunday gathering. And so obviously not everyone gets a reading, but if you listen in clearly, you'll realize that the messages and the evidence that's coming through, that you can take some of it yourself for your life. Spirit world has this handled. Could be thousands of them on our behalf with us on our Sunday gathering right now. So they're very strategic on how they do this. Your loved one is here with you, absolutely, or loved ones. What we like to do now is we like to play a feel-good piece of music. It's a wonderful time just to think of your loved ones, just visualize them right there in the room with you. It's another dance song, so you may want to move a little bit and just be happy. That's all I'm going to ask. All right, so here is our song, and then we'll be back with Carrie. Are we all giggling there behind the scenes? Hi, Carrie.
Hello, what a splendid job you have just done, making Darren and Phil dance to the singing. Absolutely wonderful. I don't know how you do it. And I know it is your pleasure to do it, because I know you spend a lot of time, but you enjoy it. Thank you very much. Phil is absolutely dancing here. Really is a delight to be here. It's a delight to hear you all speak on such a week with a topic that is about living life to the full. Darren, your reading was so touching. It really is. And I know there's different readings out there for different weeks, but it was a very special one. So thank you very much. And Sandra, once again, vulnerability, honesty, that's what we know about you. Thank you very much, Sandra, for sharing. I know from some of the information that's coming in the chat box that people are really sensing, and you're making a difference for them. So it is my opportunity to be able to blend with an unseen world and work with them on behalf of everybody here. And it's my absolute delight to do that for you, because as I know the spirit world is here with me, I do feel I have a dad here. And I know that Peter, the name Peter, would be very close with Dad. In fact, I want to say Peter would be Dad's name. I want to say that also with Dad, I need to correct that there. Peter is not Dad's name, but I know that Peter is very close to him. I know too with Dad that there would have been an illness that created him to be unable to speak or communicate with his family. I want to say that there would have been a stroke with Dad, because I feel it comes on very quickly, and I know he spent time in hospital. Does this make sense to somebody in our audience?
Thank you. We have several with their hands raised.
Okay. And all of them understand Dad having had a stroke and going into hospital, and not the stroke is so profound that it takes away his ability to interact and speak.
All right, I'm going to lower everyone's hands. So if you can understand absolutely every bit of information, if you would press your raise hand button again.
Okay.
So we have Patricia and Jane and Peter.
Okay. And all of the people also understand Peter. I didn't feel it was Dad's name, but I did feel that this would be either Dad's brother or very close to Dad. This isn't a friend or somebody far out in the family. It needs to be a direct relationship to Dad.
Thank you. We do have a Peter with their hand raised as well, Carrie. Well, we have all hands still raised.
Okay. Can I speak to Peter, please, Sandra?
Absolutely. Peter, if you would press your unmute button. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Sandra. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Hi, Peter.
Hi,
So you would
Carrie.
understand all the information about Dad?
My grandfather basically raised me. Obviously, my name is Peter, and
Okay. So
rest of
let me just check in with you. Peter, you would know with your grandfather who raised you why I felt him as Dad.
absolutely.
You would also know with your grandfather that he would have had a stroke that was very debilitating.
Effectively.
Okay, because I know that if this is your grandfather, I know I'm unable to talk, I'm unable to communicate.
Toward the end, he was not communicative.
Okay.
Whether it was a stroke, we don't know.
Oh.
Maybe that's not me.
Okay, 2 seconds, Peter, because I know that what I feel here is the stroke created this debilitation within the gentleman.
Okay. I think it may not be me. I think it was in sort of the opposite order.
Just leave it with me, Peter. Thank you for putting up your hand. It's more important that I get the opportunity to check than people not put up their hands at all. So thank you very much, and thank you for being honest. So could I check if there's somebody in our audience understands Dad as Peter and had the stroke?
We have Patricia with us. Her hand had gone straight up, straight away.
Oh.
Let's just check if we can. Patricia, you there?
Yes, I am. My father had a massive stroke and was aphasic. He never spoke another word after the stroke.
And
His
do you
name was not Peter, but Peter is his favorite in the family.
Okay, let me work with a second with you, Patricia, then you would have understand him not communicating, but this was instant. There was not a point in which there was a deterioration. This was an instant.
No, instant.
Okay, then Patricia, if you understand this to be Dad, you would also know that actually he would have really respected his privacy.
Yes.
Because I know that once your dad was incapacitated, I know there would have been talk within the family about who visits, who sees, who gets to share time.
That I don't think is me. No.
Then Patricia, would you know where there was discussions in your family about who gets to share time with him, not to stand around and watch?
No, that isn't me then. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, don't be sorry, Patricia.
Yeah.
Don't at all. Sandra, do we have somebody, if you could lower the hands, does somebody there understand everything I've said about Dad? And there is such, the Peter is resounding. I'm hearing it again and again and again.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I lowered all the hands. So if there's someone here that can take all that information, if you would press your hand, raise hand button again. All right, Camille.
He had a stroke, he couldn't speak, and Peter.
Okay, that's Patricia. Hi, Camille.
Hi. Hi, Sandra. How are
I'm
you?
not saying I'm not with you, Patricia, but let me work for a second. Camille, you would understand everything I've said.
Yes, my father had a stroke.
No, let me.
Sorry.
You understand father having a
Yes.
stroke. You understand
Yeah.
there'd been an immediate debilitation with him.
Yes.
You also understand his not being able to communicate.
Yes.
You also understand with your dad the name Peter being very close.
Yes. Can I say my brother's name isn't Peter, but my father called him Peter.
Okay. You also understand with your dad that there would have been discussions whilst your dad was in hospital about we don't want everybody coming and standing looking, because I know your dad's private.
Very much so, yes.
Okay. Please, Patricia, for the moment, please know if you can take any of this information, please know this is your dad's way of reaching you. But for the moment, I'm going to work with Camille. With your dad, I know he was a very private gentleman, but I actually know that before your dad's stroke, he would be quite a curious creature in that he would be very playful.
Yes.
Because I get the sense with dad that he would have known, people would have known that he would not have wanted everybody to be morose and to be so depressed about what had happened to your dad.
Yes, right.
There must have been talk, Camille, as well about your dad, about future treatment.
Yes.
And you would know within the family where decisions were taken about that treatment.
Definitely.
Okay, because I know your dad would not have wanted an elongation in that state of being.
Absolutely. That's absolutely correct.
Because I know with your dad's sense of humor of being pretty upbeat and funny about it, he is so pleased he did not have to endure that for a long time.
Absolutely.
Because I know had the treatment not gone the way that was decided, he might have had to have endured that state of being for a long time.
Bang on.
Then you would have memories with your dad, Camille, of walking through a set of forest or trees close to where your dad would have lived.
Yes.
And walking through those trees, you would have memories of your dad telling you stories about when you were younger and when he was younger.
Yes.
I actually feel you and him would have walked when you were grown up as well.
Yes.
Because I know that as you're grown up, he talks about you being younger and those younger years, the theme of that, the living years. Your dad wants you to know that he would have made the same choices again, because I know there must have been questions within you about whether your dad regretted some of his choices.
Yes.
Don't
yes,
say yes
some,
if it isn't.
yes.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. I know your dad has no regrets at all. From his side of life, he sees that clarity. He sees how meaningful things had to be the way they were. And he also sees the journey that he made. I know that you have been asking your dad, Camille, for verification about your life choices at the moment.
Yes, I have.
And I know your dad is of that sense of imagine walking through those trees with him and the advice he would have given you on those walks. You know what he would be saying to you, and he knows that he would never stop you doing anything, but that he would also want to give you that little push of encouragement.
Yeah, he would, yes.
There must have been stories about those forests, about there being creatures or wild animals in the forest.
Yes, there were. Yeah.
Because I know as your dad brings me to the forest, I know he must have, whether those were real or not, there must have been stories of when I was young, Camille, when I used to walk in the forest, I used to think there were black cats and all sorts of animals in there. I know that he is looking to take you down memory lane, but also remind you that things that remain in the stories remain there. We have to focus on what's real, and what's real is today and how we determine our tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm going to leave your dad's love with you and direction with you, Camille, and say thank you very much for working with me.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Beautiful words. Thank you.
Okay, I do get a sense that I have Dad with me again, but I do believe I have Dad's brother, who would be Uncle, also in the spirit world. I do believe that Dad and Uncle would be like chalk and cheese, completely differently. And I know that Dad is very methodical in his mind, very intellectual in his mind. And I know that Uncle is a little bit more relaxed about how serious you take life. And I get the sense that with Dad, there would be the name of Frank, but I know that, or Francis, but I know that with Dad, there's this deep sense of intellect. And I would not be surprised at all if he fully understood many things in encyclopedia and would have talked about general knowledge a great deal.
Thank you, Carrie. All right, who understands this information? Now, Camille's got her hand up again. Carrie? Camille, could you unmute yourself? Oh, and also Jane.
Okay, Camille, you understand everything I've just said with Dad's name being Frank and also having an uncle in the spirit world?
My father's name was Frank, and I have uncles in the spirit world, and their discussions were as you described.
Okay, then let me just double check. Could you bring Jane in as well, Sandra?
Absolutely. Jane, could you press your unmute button?
Yes.
Hi, Jane.
Hi.
Hi, Jane. You
Hi,
understand
Sandra.
everything I've said?
Yes, although the Francis is the mother, not of male, not Francis, Frances.
Okay. And would that be your mum?
No, that would be my father's mom, my grandmother, his mother.
Okay, let me work for a second here, because I know I heard Frank. There must be somebody who understands. You would understand a Frank though, Jane?
Well,
yes or no?
Yes,
or no?
yes, but a distant, in his side of the family, yes.
Okay, because I know I heard Frank, and I can't change that to, I know I heard Frank and I heard Francis, which indicates two different names. Can I work with you for a second, Jane?
Sure, thank you.
Okay, then this would be your dad, and your grandmother's name is Francis. Then with your dad, then he had this high intellectual mind.
Yes.
I also need to say that with your dad, he would have really understood people as well.
I think so, yes.
Then would you understand, Jane, your dad coming from outside the US?
No.
And would you understand your grandfather or your grandmother coming from outside the US?
No, it goes further back.
Okay.
In the line. Mm-hmm.
I hate to do this, Sandra, but is there anybody else with their hand up that understands everything I've said?
No problem at all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, does anyone else understand every bit of information? No hands are raised other than our two ladies.
Okay. Then I know that I'm I can't change. Let me work with this for a second. I know I have Dad here. I know that the name Frank would relate to Dad, but I also know that there would be an understanding that the family came from out with the country that they lived in. So that there would be a moving to that country from another.
Yes.
Do you understand that, Jane?
Yes. Not his generation, but the one above. Yes.
Okay. So it would be your grandfather. So with your dad then, Jane, you would know that he wouldn't be overly outspoken with people. He would be quite quiet.
Yes.
Because I know as I'm trying to work with him here, but he would have been very polite, an absolute gentleman.
Absolutely.
Because he
Yes.
just called me dear.
Yes. I can see.
He's trying to say to me, okay, dear, just take your time, dear. And I know that him and your mum must have had such a deep understanding as well.
An understanding of each other.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And
yes.
your dad must have told you stories about when him and your mum would go out dancing.
No. Well,
because I know in Britain there's this courting, and I feel like your dad would have courted your mum and took her dancing.
probably yes.
No. I have to say, Sandra, I do believe, I don't mean any disrespect, but I do believe somebody has not put up their hand, because this just is not feeling how it should. So can we check in, Sandra, with people out there that have dad in the spirit world, that understand the name Frank, that also understand being very quiet. And I know that dad and mum would have gone dancing. And I know that there's a sense here with dad of this gentlemanliness, an absolute gentleman.
All right, and no hands have gone up. Doris has her hand up. Camille has said her father's name is Frank, short for Francis.
Yeah, but the personality doesn't feel like it resonates.
Okay, let's bring in Doris. Hi, Doris.
Hello.
Hi, Doris. Do you understand Father in the Spirit World and the name Frank?
Frank is Franz in German, and you said that first.
Okay, and you also understand your dad moving from out with where he lived to where he lived?
Yeah, the
Okay.
distance is shorter, but yes, I can take it.
Okay. You also know with your dad that there would have been a quietness about him.
Correct.
And an intellect about him.
Yes.
And I know that he would have been the gentleman.
Correct.
And I know that he would have, in his younger years with your mum, talked about taking your mum out dancing.
When they met, they went dancing, yes.
Okay, because I feel that there is this real sense with your dad of needing to connect with who he was and what he did. But I know your dad would have told you stories about his journey to where he got to. You would have known some of his background.
Correct.
There's some details in there, Doris, that he shared with you that are not well known within the family.
True.
Because I also know that you would understand in wartime years that your dad had a special part to play.
Yes.
Okay. And I can only put it that way because I know your dad doesn't want to divulge what it is, but I get a sense for what it is. But I also know your dad would have, okay. Doris, you would know where your dad knew people within the German army.
Yes.
And senior officers in the German army.
Yes.
And I also get the sense that you would know where your dad would have rubbed shoulders with some of the elite in the German army.
No, I don't know that.
Then I know that he would have spent time with people in the know in order to support his cause, which was only for good.
Yes.
Because I know your dad gives me this impression that he would have undertaken steps that went against the part he played, but stood for what his values were.
I'm not sure about that.
Okay, I'm trying to be diplomatic to what your dad showed me. You know that your dad would have taken information from within Germany outside.
I'm not aware of that.
Okay, because I get the sense here that we'd have told somebody. Is there anybody you can check with?
No, they've all gone.
Okay, then I need you to know then you must have had a question in your mind about your dad's involvement and his place in the part he played.
Not my dad, his brother.
Okay, if this is your brother, his brother, your uncle, Doris, then you would understand that he took information and made it count, did good with it.
I'm not aware of that.
I cannot get away from this. Then let me use it as I know your dad is meaning this. You must have, not to say it's of the same nature at all, but you must have a quandary in which whether to stand for what you believe in or go with the crowd.
Absolutely.
With you right now.
Yeah, it's an
Then
absolute.
if that's the case, Doris, I know without a shadow of a doubt that either your dad or your uncle stood for what they believed in, even though it wasn't what the masses were doing, because I know your dad is asking you to stand for what you believe, your values, your integrity, and know how to share the information with those that matter. And don't let those that don't matter.
Thank you.
I was a long way around the houses, and I know your dad would have been very secretive.
He was. And I know this would have been hard for you. So thank you.
But it's an absolute delight being able to work for your dad and your uncle. Thanks, Doris.
Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you, Doris. Thank you, Carrie.
Okay. I do feel I have Mum here, and I know as Mum works with me, I get the sense that Mum would have had a diplomatic role within local government or government. I know she would have had a diplomatic role, and I also know she would have advocated on behalf of people. And I don't mean legal, although I know part of her role was legal, but I do feel it's of an MP or a councillor or something of the diplomatic manner, because I know she was pretty outspoken for her era.
Thank you, Carrie. All right, ladies and gentlemen, who understands this information? This lovely lady.
Okay.
No hands up.
If nobody's understanding it with Mother, would somebody understand a lady in the spirit world that would have had been of the diplomat, that would have had a place of influence, that MP, councillor, or a diplomat within a political body or a political building? But I know she was a lady ahead of her time and one of influence.
Patricia. Would you unmute Patricia?
Hi.
Hi, Patricia. Hi.
Well, my name is really Daisy, but I came in on Patricia's invitation.
Well, hi, Daisy.
Hi. This is my first time, so bear with me.
That's okay. Let me do the work for you, Daisy. So you would understand this lady in the spirit world?
Yes, I know who she is.
Okay, and you would understand that she would have had a diplomatic status or a diplomatic position.
She worked for the State Department.
Okay, then.
She and her husband.
Oh, okay. So how you can best help this lady and me is just to give me a yes or a no if you understand it, because the lines only take one way, or else we talk over each other. So if you could do that for me, that would be lovely. Thank you, Daisy. So you would understand that this lady in the spirit world would have been very close to you.
Right. At one time she was.
Okay, because I know she comes in on standing up for you. So you know that she would have stood up for you at times.
Yes.
And I know too that she would not have been fearful of picking a fight if she believed in what the fight was for.
Right.
I also know that a lady in a man's world, she would not shy away from that.
Right.
She must have shared some stories with you where she would stand up in a conference or in the boardroom and say that whatever was happening was not the way it should happen.
Right.
Daisy, you must also know that this lady must have influenced statute or law.
Yes, she did.
Because I know this feeling of she's left her legacy in more ways than one, but in some way, Daisy, you must have been there to witness this.
We worked together.
Okay, don't give me anything, Daisy. Let me work for you. So
Okay.
you're under no doubt that she's here with me. Because I know that she knows that you were there, and I get the sense with you wouldn't, so it'd be a work colleague, Daisy.
Right.
And I get the sense that who she was out of the public eye, you saw that person as well.
Right.
Because that person she did not show to very many people.
No.
I also know that she must have communicated after you stopped working together. I know she must have reached out to you.
Right.
Because I know that this is her reaching out again. She reached out to you when she needed you.
Right.
And this is her reaching out to you because she knows you need her right now.
Right.
That ability to stand up for what's right. I actually want to say, Daisy, that you must still have contact with people of influence.
Very.
Okay. Because I know she has a little bit of a joke here, but I know that she is of the impression that you did rather well for yourself, better than she did.
Well, thank you. I'm glad she feels that way.
Because I know that this beautiful lady wishes to acknowledge the difference you are making. I also need to say, Daisy, that whoever you are speaking with, you have actually spoken with, I can't believe what I'm hearing, you have spoken with some fairly senior, influential people recently.
Right.
And you've made it very clear what your understandings are about a situation.
Right.
You're also advocating on behalf of younger people.
Right.
Then I know that this is your colleague and friend's way of letting you know she sees you and the roads still are parallel. She is still assisting you from that side of life, because you have, from the feeling your friend gives me, is you have felt rather alone on this walk you've chosen.
Right. Especially now.
Then please know if I wanted somebody behind me, I might well borrow your friend, because I know she has got some clout behind her. Please know that this is her way of letting you know you are not alone. You do have people behind you in the spirit world. Please remember what you come from. You and her had to fight a battle together.
Right. Right. I'm glad to know she's with me now, especially.
Oh, then please know that if there is a battle to happen, I hope it's a short one and an easy one, but whatever takes place, she is there with you.
Well, thank you so much for the beautiful and very moving message.
You're very welcome, Daisy. Thank you for coming on.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Daisy. Thank you, Carrie.
Okay, I do believe I have Brother with me. And with Brother, somebody in our audience would understand that Brother would have spent time in the military, but I also know that he must have worked away from home at periods of times during this military service, but I know who I'm looking for would have one of his medals.
Thank you, Carrie. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, who can recognize this information? And this gentleman, press your raise hand button, please.
Sandra, I'm going to drop the relationship because there's something about brother doesn't feel right there. I've just said to Phil, I think I might have misinterpreted this relationship, but I know I've got gentlemen here, and I know he serves time in the military, and I do feel it is in the armed forces, in the land armed forces, and I do believe that somebody here would have a medal that he would have been given posthumously after his passing.
Thank you, Carrie. All right, ladies and gentlemen, who can recognize this information? No hands up, Carrie.
I cannot change very much. I've dropped the relationship so somebody understands a gentleman in the spirit world. It could be a relative, it could be somebody who is, I do feel it's a relative. And I know that you have one of his medals. And I do believe if it wasn't posthumously, then I do believe you were given it after this gentleman passed into the spirit world.
Camille and Peta have their hands raised.
And is Camille the lovely lady I've spoken to already?
Yes.
Okay. Can I work with Peter for a moment?
Yep. And
Sorry,
Camille,
Camille, I will come to you if this doesn't feel right.
Peta, can you press your unmute button? Peta? Oh, she is not pressing her unmute button. Peta, you might have raised your hand. Oh, there you are. There you are. Are you there?
Hello.
Perfect. Now we can hear your voice.
Hi, Peter.
Hello.
Hello, this is a long time. I actually know Peter from a long time ago, and we haven't spoken in a long time. I don't believe I've ever given you a contact, though.
No, you haven't.
Okay, so you understand this gentleman, Peter, in the spirit world where you have one of his medals?
Yes.
And you would understand this to be a close relative to you?
Yes.
Okay, then you would know the stories that you would have been told about him being in service.
Yes.
And I also know that within this being in service, there must have been a few stories he told you about narrow misses.
Very much so. Yep.
Because I know there's a sense of close calls here. I know also that he must have been a very humble man, because there's no sense of, look what I've done. It's more of, I just did what my country needed.
Yes.
I know too, Peter. Peter, would this be your dad?
It is.
Okay, because I know as I feel him, then Peter, would you also have a brother in the spirit world?
No.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Then with your dad, there's this incredible sense of him being very young at heart.
Yes.
And a little bit of a joker, I have to say.
Yes.
Because I have this mischievous sense with me about he was very, very serious with the things that mattered. But as today's theme is the living years, I know he made the most of his life and how he was in life.
Yeah.
And it looked like perhaps to other people that he wasn't taking life seriously, but he absolutely was.
Very true, yeah.
And I know that he must have placed aside time for family members. But with time with you, Peter, would you know where there wasn't as much time as there could have been spent together?
Yes. Yes.
Because I have this feeling of, if I had a regret, it would be that I didn't spend enough time with you.
Yes.
But you would know that perception of him spending time with other people?
No.
Then you wouldn't understand him spending time away from the home, either with work or with other people that weren't family.
Not really.
Okay. Peter, would your dad have worked away whilst he was in service?
No.
Okay, let me work with this for a second. Then you would know, Peter, where he left the family home and you didn't have a lot of contact with him.
Yes.
Okay, because I know there's a sense of being away and not reaching out. I also know that he takes full responsibility for this.
Okay. Yeah.
I get a great sense with him that there's an incredible insight and woulda, coulda, shoulda time, that there's a sense with him that he wants to let you know, firstly, that he's here, which I know you understand and appreciate. But I also know that there is, Peter, you have taken very bold steps. I know he shows me you taking very bold steps, and we haven't had any contact in quite a while, but I know he is acknowledging the steps you have taken, because that medal you have that was his, he wants to give to you.
I have that medal.
Then he wants to give it, you have it, but he wants to genuinely give it to you for things that you have done, that you deserve this.
Okay.
Because I know that he wants to acknowledge that journey you have done, and that you have had to, in many ways, I get the sense from him that he wants to acknowledge that lonely path, but you haven't lost touch with what's important.
Okay.
I'm going to say thank you very much for working with me and putting up your hand, Peter. It's lovely to speak to you again.
You too. Thanks, Kerry.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Sandra, Darren and Phil, it's been an absolute pleasure to work for you today, and to be able to reconnect and work with the spirit world, which is, there's nothing quite like it. So thank you to your families.
Oh, thank you very much, Carrie, and for all your service for people on both sides of the veil. We love you. Just a few announcements. Well, first of all, our loved ones are around. The illusion is that they're gone. They are not. So if it helps you to have a picture of them when they're healthy and well and talk to them, they're very, very much alive and well, and we will see them again. Absolutely. Some things coming up on Tuesday. Scott Milligan, our friend, is doing 2 times during the day, sitting in the power hours, an opportunity to close your eyes and to blend with the love and the power of the unseen world. On Friday, he has a demonstration of trance mediumship, which is also a sitting for healing. It's called In the Arms of Eternity. Our friends Carrie and Phil and myself will be together June 10th. We're going to do a proper demonstration of mediumship. So you get a taste of it here on the Sunday Gathering, but you'll actually get to spend a 90-minute event just with Carrie and Phil doing the mediumship and me as the moderator. So we hope you come and join us for that. It is on a Friday. I won't say the time because times are all over the world. It's normally the time slot where we have our event with Scott Milligan, but he will be traveling. So we will have our demonstration with Carrie and Phil on that day. If you're somebody who you're getting this pull, how do you find out more about psychic and mediumship and things? We have weekly classes always going on, but we ask that you first watch some replays that give you the basics. You start with the psychic and you move on to mediumship. If this is kind of calling to you, if you're feeling that pull, our home base is WeDon'tDie.com. There's a tab at the top that says At Home Courses. There's a lovely video of myself explaining how it all works. So you can learn there. You can also click on the tab for the radio shows, and that's where you can hear the podcasts that I just spoke of. And also you can join our Facebook group, which is pretty great. Almost 7,000 people that speak this language. Introduce yourself. Let us know where you're from. And I think that might be it for the announcements. I think I may be wrong, but we'll just play it by ear. And once again, as Phil said at the beginning, thank you for your kind and loving donations. They do help keep us keeping on, keep the Sunday Gathering going. So again, wedon'tdie.com is our home base. The store button has the link for next week's Sunday gathering, so you don't want to forget to register for that. So I'm going to turn it over to Phil for some words for the week.
Thank you for those announcements, Sandra. It's always a pleasure to listen to what's going on and coming up. Inspires us all. But I want to thank not just Sandra, I want to thank Darren for his prayers, and I know he'll be closing very soon for us, but also his reading as well, getting us to see life with a different set of eyes and a different understanding. But I've also got to thank Sandra for the inspiration of today's theme, because we had a conversation early in the week and she said something that really touched my centre, touched my heart. But I've also got to thank Kerry for doing her best work, because if we listen to those contacts, it shows those people in the spirit world lived their years, how they were their true authentic self. They lived without no regret. They were advocates for people. They tried to change things for people, and they did their best by people as well. And I think there's a common theme here from the healing, that we've all walked that broken road. We've all trodden down its lumpy and bumpy and cracked surface, and it's thrown many things up in our lives for us. And we've all lived through them to tell the tale. But those tales can be of loss, of grief, and also they can be of regrets. But underneath those life issues, which there are many, it helps shape us. It helps shape our worlds. It helps us to be better people. And I know in those present moments, it doesn't feel like it. But like Sandra says, you remember the good times. It creates the best within you. And it helps you put best foot forward. And it gives you an understanding of what others may be going through, and having that kindness to listen and understand and be there for them and make those differences. And it also, as Darren says, lets you or stops you from saying, when I become, when I do this, makes you say, I am going to do this. I will do this. And we have to understand that those broken roads show us all our vulnerabilities, just like Sandra shared. But it's those vulnerabilities or those imperfections that are perfect about you. And I like to use in the classes those perfect imperfections to be true to who you are. And I'd like you to repeat after me: I am, I can, and I will make a difference for myself and everybody else in this world. I hope that you do really make a difference, believing yourselves, but also live for more than just a feeling. You live to dance, you live to shine. I'm going to leave you with those words and those heartfelt words, and let you take the next step, not on a broken road, but a perfect road. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for those wonderful words, Phil. And it's been an absolute honour and a privilege to work with each and every one of you and sit here and listen to you all. It's been amazing. So thank you. So if you'd all like to now join me for the closing prayer. We'd like to thank our friends, brothers and sisters from across the globe for coming here today, uniting together as one under that banner of We Don't Die. We'd like to express our sincere thanks and gratitude to all our friends, helpers and loved ones of that world we call unseen for being here with us today and every Sunday to help these Sunday gatherings take place, and to allow us all to feel your love and to feel your healing balm and hear your thoughts and your words of truth that allow us to go forward, continuing our lives in the words of truth, that love and life are both eternal. We deem it an absolute joy and privilege to work with your world and represent your world. And we've done this all to the best of our unique abilities, and we hope we've done you proud and represented you in the best way possible. As we leave this Sunday gathering and go forward down our own pathways and our own journeys, we are thankful for the lives we lead and waking up each morning for the air we breathe and the world we see around us. And we know as we continue down our own pathways and our own journeys, we do come across those bumps and bends within our road, but we know and take comfort to know that you continually walk by our side helping us and guiding us to get over these bumps and remove these obstacles on our journey of life. As we go forward into a new week, we go forward uplifted and inspired to live the best life we can and make the most of our lives within this world. And we know that we can go forward and do this with you continually walking by our side to make the most of our lives here. But we also ask for your guidance and inspiration so that we can be the best human beings that we can be, and we can aid and add to the humanitarian within this world. As we continue to go forward, we ask that a healing balm continues to be sent around our world to help bring upliftment and healing to those hearts and minds that may be in need at this time, so that we can go forward and live in a world where there's peace and comfort for all. Until we meet again, friends. Amen.
Thank you very much, Darren. And I just want to say we had left the chat box on during our Sunday gathering today, and we have read all of your kind messages. Thank you so very much for all your kind words. And for those of you who are hoping your loved one would come through today, please know that they are right by your side, and just quiet your mind and trust that they can hear you and you can hear them. So we're going to go on to our closing song, and there's a little bit of trivia in it, so make sure you're paying attention to the screen. Thank you so much for being part of our Sunday gathering, and here's our closing song.